You're watching the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey, back with the mailbag, answering your questions live here on the Cowboys Report. As promised, super chat to begin from Mr. Lewis. By the way, I love his profile picture. It's awesome. How did you become a Cowboys fan? Rambling Tom time. Do you guys remember, and Jeremy, this might be just before your era, do you remember the little tiny plastic helmets that you could buy at the grocery store from the giant container that had candy in it too? Yeah, so I had all of those helmets, and each week, I don't know, this is my parents telling me it, I would pick which team I thought was going to win back when I was super young. Apparently, I always loved the Cowboys helmet the most, and because it wasn't the Steelers or the Browns, my parents were like, yeah, sure, you can be a Cowboys fan. That stuck with me forever. They even bought me the NFL sheets, and I had a tiny plastic Cowboys helmet. The photo of it somewhere of me falling asleep in it is out there. So since I was a kid, apparently the star on the helmet allured me to the organization in the end. Justice Baca, can we trade for Watson, Wilson, or Rodgers? From a technical standpoint, yes, you can make it happen. From a remotely realistic and or sensible standpoint, no. First off, Deshaun Watson has done nothing that Dak Prescott has not done. Russell Wilson has the title. From an on-field standpoint, thank you, Jeremy, Deshaun Watson has done nothing that Dak Prescott has done in his NFL career. Russell Wilson is great, but you got to pay him a bunch of money. Aaron Rodgers, Mike McCarthy? But why? You pay Dak Prescott. If you trade him right now, you'd incur an extra $58 million cap charge. Frankly, it'd be pretty dumb of the organization to do that. Brandon Wilson, make this the linebackers. Parsons, Cox, and Nakobe Dean. Micah Parsons, Jabril Cox, and Nakobe Dean. That sounded really, really dirty. As long as you're playing Parsons a lot at edge rusher, then yes. As your 4-3 base, looking more like a 4-3 over with the Parsons on the edge, I'm down. If Nakobe Dean is there, back end of round one, I would have no complaints. I think 24 for a guy that can cover and blitz, I'm on board with that. That value begins to make a lot more sense to me for an off-ball linebacker. From Rudolph Johnson, do you believe the theory that Jerry and Steven wanted less motion and more Zeke? I've seen it. My boy Mike White mentioned this. In the end, I don't want to believe this. Because if it is true that Jerry and Steven were saying, hey, we got to give the ball to Zeke, we don't want to run pre-snap motion, etc. If that is true, this team's fucked. Because that's not going to change. That's going to be there. That's not going to be overhauled by swapping out your coach or your offensive coordinator. So in the end, I don't want to believe that. Because if it's true, then this team's doomed. They're not going to have success because the ownership, the current and the /current/future, is going to be too involved. So I don't want to believe that because otherwise teams never have success, and it's heartbreaking in the end. So what is your confidence level in Jerry and Stephen Jones? I have no doubts that they want to win, but I think Stephen's way too conservative, and I think Jerry and Stephen too are a little bit heavy on the ego side. So I want to hear from you guys. What's your confidence level in Jerry and Stephen Jones? Scale it for me. 1, meaning you think this team is screwed. 100 being you are so confident this team is going to get the job done next year. You already bought and bet on the Cowboys Super Bowl. 1-100, get the ad break here on YouTube. Take advantage, head down there, and let me know. Simon Douglas, would you trade for Aaron Rodgers? No. Also, would Rodgers want to come to Dallas? I don't think so. In theory, McCarthy is still your head coach. You're going to ship out Dak Prescott, eat all of the dead money, to then pay Aaron Rodgers just as much, if not more likely more money, with a head coach I don't think super gets along with. In the end, and I know there are going to be media outlets that try this. Rodgers to Dallas makes 0 sense. We did this last year, too. It makes no sense, frankly, for either party involved. Remember, if you trade Dak Prescott before the NFL draft, his cap hit on the Cowboys' current salary cap is $57.8 million. Stupid. That's more than Kirk Cousins is going to make. It's an obscenely high figure. So in the end, no, you are not trading for Aaron Rodgers, full stop. Armando Quintana, what's the plan for tight end? I don't know. It's a great question. You're in a tricky decision-making process here. You got Blake Jarwin under contract. Dalton Schultz is not. Schultz outplayed Jarwin this year, although Schultz was not great in open space as a blocker. He was actually pretty solid overall, but he's going to command $10 million per year on the open market. Do you want to pay him that much? If not, do you draft somebody? Do you roll with Jarwin and McEwen as tight end 1-2? It's a great question, Armando, and frankly, I don't know the answer right now. Simply Sports. Will Zeke be RB2 next year? Look, I mentioned this upcoming comparison not because of the Sean Payton rumors out there, but I think it would be a good idea. Make Tony Pollard your Alvin Kamara and Zeke Elliott your Mark Ingram. Now, I'm not saying Pollard is as good as Kamara. That's not what I'm trying to do, but I think the usage should be pretty similar because Pollard brings you more explosion. Yeah, Zeke's a better pass blocker, but you could just, put Pollard out there on a route and go empty more. That is the route I would go if I were the Cowboys. You can use them both, but you got to use Tony Pollard more. From Cole, let Connor Williams walk, draft Kenyon Green, and bring back Mark Colombo. I've got no complaints whatsoever from that perspective. I think if that is the route you want to adopt, I would not complain whatsoever. From Creighton Williams, do you regret your past draft grades? In a word, of course I do. I don't think you could ask, if you get honest answers from any draft expert, like me, air quotes intended there, any NFL team, I think they'd say, yeah, there are 100% a bunch of things I missed on. I had Micah Parsons. I'm pulling up my board right now. I had him as a first-round grade, top 16 player. My issue with Parsons, which I think is what we're really going at here, was less about the talent and more about drafting an off-ball linebacker that high. In the end, well, he wasn't an off-ball linebacker. The Cowboys nailed that projection way more than anybody else thought. I was wrong on it. I love Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I was right on that. I actually liked the Tonko Charlton draft pick. I was an idiot on that one. That's what happens. You learn a lot more from your mistakes than your hits in the end. I love the Cowboys 2020 draft class. I was right on that one. I wanted a safety over Tristan Hill. Right on that one. You miss in the end a lot more than you end up getting right. Of course I have regrets. I think anyone in this business feels the exact same way. Let's talk trade for a player now, less involving a potential trade of Sean Payton. Who would you trade for? Other players out there, drop a name for me in the comments section. From Gavin, keep Gregory, Wilson, Kearse, let Gallup go. Wilson has potential. That could work for me. Again, contracts and the value, of course, matter here. But if that's the route you want to go, I'm not going to complain too much about that one. From Vegas Game, what is McCarthy bringing to the table? Doesn't make play calls, admits to not watching teams live, can't be a team. What is he even doing here? So I understand the issues. He doesn't make your play calls. So his job, therefore, is to be the hype man, be the CEO, and your team was nervous entering the playoff game. That feels like a coaching failure to me. So I don't know. In the end, when you are the CEO head coach, it all comes down to results. And the results were not good enough this year for Dallas. It's a great question from Vince. Who would be your favorite first-round pick from Georgia for the Cowboys? Okay, so you got a bunch of different guys, right? You got Jordan Davis at defensive tackle, Trayvon Walker at defensive end, Nakobe Dean at linebacker. Bit of a reach, but I think Darion Kendrick, the Georgia corner, could maybe be in play. I think that's a reach, though. Lewis, I think it's Seen or Son, however you pronounce it, the safety. I feel like I am contractually obligated to say Fatty's only Jordan Davis, but I actually would wonder if I would go Nakobe Dean or Trayvon Walker. If you take one of those guys at 24, I ain't going to complain in the end. Draft a good Georgia defensive player. That defense was awesome. Those players are great. I would be okay with it. Today's show, powered by our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Cowboys125 gets you a 125% deposit bonus when you use that promo code Cowboys125 at chatsports.com/bet. Maybe you want to bet on the Niners winning, keeping up the Niners or Cowboys when they play in the postseason, the winner makes the Super Bowl trend. It's happened like 4 years in a row. 5 if this ends up happening. Maybe you want to bet again or bet on Matthew Stafford. Do it with BetUS. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Cowboys125. From Girthquake, can we restructure Zeke's contract again? So, yes, you can restructure. Now, he's not going to take a pay cut. He's not going to. But if you want to push money into the future, you can. Makes it tougher to move on later on, though, if that's the case. From Pete Carroll's Bubblegum, first off, great name. Are you going to ignore what Stephen Jones said on the radio after the Cowboys lost? Depends on what you mean. If you mean the Mike McCarthy staying, it's not what he said. He was asked, for some stupid reason, are you confident in McCarthy being your head coach? He said yes. It's not a firm yes answer. Jerry Jones left that door, as small as it is for a change, open. That's my mindset. Vegas game, as Bill Parcells said, if I'm cooking the meal, I'm buying the groceries too. Well, if your cooking sucks, maybe get your wife to cook. You need a GM. You have a GM. His name is Will McClay. I'll be honest, guys. I don't think that player acquisition has been your issue for this team. I think utilization of those players, I think salary cap management has been a minor issue, and coaching has been an issue. I agree with what I think is the Jones' internal evaluation. This team's got talent. They aren't maximizing it. And if you mean ownership manipulation, then okay, I get where you're coming from. Now, if you guys want to subscribe, go do it right now. We got free videos every single day right here on the Cowboys Report. That's news, rumors, draft, free agency, you name it, we've got it right here on the Cowboys Report. From Frosty J, could we draft Jameis Williams with all the free agency at receiver? So we'll know more about their receiver plans towards the draft because free agency comes before the NFL draft. You would know if you've kept Cooper, what you've done with Michael Gallup, Cedric Wilson, Noah Brown, Malik Turner, all free agents this year. If you have a needed receiver and he's on the board, just like the CeeDee Lamb draft pick, hell yeah, let's ride it at that point. From Zay for the win, if we trade Cooper, can we get a first-round pick if teams have interest? That is what I would ask if I were shopping Amari Cooper, because you give a first-round pick. He's been awesome at receiver for you when he's been targeted. Thanks, Kellen. I don't know for certain if you would get one. Maybe, though, you get a second-round pick back. And in totality, it's actually not a bad return overall on your investment. I want you guys now to predict the Cowboys record for this upcoming season, as many months away as that is. Let me know. Predict the Cowboys record in 2022. Bobby Dominguez, 1 to 10 confidence level of landing Sean Payton. By the way, I forgot to shout out Robert Chapman, $2 super chat. Thank you. Coward's way out, give me a 5. I want to see how the year goes. If they are a disappointment, it goes up. But what do you do if you finally make the NFC Championship game? can you really move on from McCarthy? I don't know if you can. So that's like a year away. So I'll go 5 for now. It'll change constantly if that ends up being an option throughout the season and offseason. Daniel Johnson, get rid of Amari's $20 million a year contract and sign Devontae for like 23. Look, I'd be okay with signing Devontae Adams if you could get him for $23 million, but here's the question. Are you going to get Devontae Adams at $23 million? If he hits the open market, which the Packers might franchise tag him, Julio got 22. Hopkins got technically 27 and almost a half. I think Devontae Adams is going to reset the receiver market for like 25, 28 million. So, sure, I'd love to do it hypothetically. I don't think it's a very realistic outcome, though, for the Cowboys at wide receiver.